What up? Are we live yet? Yeah. What up? What's going
We're on.
on a Hump Day Wednesday? How you doing, Coop?
What's going on? Peace and blessings. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. I want to welcome everybody into the room. Welcome everybody into the room. We're going to talk about a lot today. We're going to talk about some MCs. We just put 10 random MCs. I think we were talking to the rest of the people about putting together criteria for all-time greats. I sent you my list and how everything worked out on that end. Hey, yo, shout out to Terminator 2. He's the first person, as always. How do
How
you
many
do this,
here
Terminator?
already?
Yes, I don't know how Terminator 2 does this. But yeah. Shout me out. I'm number one always. Yes, you are.
You are.
Yes, you are. Let me make sure that everything's working properly because it looks like we only got one person in the room. At least that's what it's showing. So, we normally get people in faster than that. I don't know if the algorithms are working against us or whatever. Let's see. Let me see. Boom, boom, boom. It's showing live. I think people might be getting the notifications a little later, but okay, we got 5 or so people in here. We're getting thumbs up in here. I think people know what's up. Yes, we got a lot to talk about today, man. We are going to be talking about some of the best MCs of all time. Coop and I, we came with a pool of 10 MCs, and we were going to go by the criteria that we spoke about last week that you guys helped us conjure up. Do you want to kind of go through the criteria? I'll go through the MCs if you want.
Yeah, I mean, so the criteria that we selected from were we picked 15 that we felt like were all encompassing. Now, first thing I want to say is we felt like 10 wasn't enough, but we felt like 20 was definitely too much.
Right.
15 is where we paused at. So we have lyrics, voice, delivery, storytelling, catalog, album catalog, collaborations, legacy, longevity of records, and also longevity of career. Those are two separate categories. Longevity of your records, longevity of career. Prime example, longevity of Biggie's career, very brief. Longevity of his records, epic.
Facts.
Battle tested, freestyle and live performance, we coupled into one grouping. Content, subject matter, it's one grouping. Hook game, versatility, and intangibles. That's the criteria.
Okay, and the 10 MCs that we're going to cover today, we got Rakim, KRS-One, we got Method Man, we got Conway the Machine, we got J. Cole, we got, I was say Kenny, Kendrick Lamar, Pusha T, Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, and Nas. Shout out to everybody coming in the room. Yes, we're going to cover those 10 MCs, and we're going to actually send them through this criteria. And you know what? I ended up giving people an overall score. I went ahead and added up the criteria. The criteria is 1 through 10. 10 being the strongest, 1 being the weakest. I didn't really give anybody anything less than a 6 in any of these said categories.
Ooh, okay.
So, so all of my numbers kind of ended up very similar. I will say this. Terminator 2 says, no Common, Mike D. Now, I think we'll do Common on the next 10 round. We didn't do Eminem this time either. So, because we know how polarizing he is, and that would take up a whole discussion, I'm sure. And yes, shout out to Acha Poo 2, Clash is in session. Said DMX and DeCarlo, no Eminem. We'll do DMX, Eminem next time around.
I was actually about to say DMX and Eminem are on our slate for our next segment of 10 MCs. So you'll be getting DMX and Eminem on next go round for certain. Yep.
We thought it'd be interesting with the conversation that we've been given about Method Man to actually throw him in this and give him his flowers. And, we kind of wanted to get a diverse array of MCs. It's kind of like 2 per era, right? Where you got, well, I don't want to say 2 per era because Method Man's technically in Nas and Jay's era and more in Nas than Jay's era. But we got Rakim and KRS, boom, coupled with like Jay, Nas, and Meth. Then I think Meth and Wayne are more transcending. I think they're kind of like in their own little bubble. And obviously you got Cole and Kendrick, boom. You got Conway and Pusha T, boom. So it's kind of eras and stylistic matchups. That's why we kind of coupled these groupings together.
You want to know what? We are a little delayed today, though, Mike, because I just got my notification. And quite frankly, I'm co-host of the podcast. I just got my notification.
I just got my notification not too long ago, too. So I guess YouTube is delayed in their notifications. But I guess we can go on into the first subject, though. Somebody said this is a Nas channel, so Nas is gonna win. I don't know if it's any winners or losers per se. I'll say this: I didn't rank Nas very high on live performance.
Me neither.
All right, I didn't rank Nas very high. I'm gonna go to my
About to say
before I, because I don't want to reveal it to everybody, but I didn't rank Nas very high on. Let's see, yeah, it was live performance. Hook game was okay, and honestly, he's improved that.
I gave him an upgrade just because of the recent improved hook game. Because if it had not been for the last 2 years, he probably would have been a point or two lower on hook game. In all estimation, like Magic and KD2 helped him immensely in that regard. Yeah.
I'm seeing what I put in live performance. I was generous in live performance. It could have been lower. I think what made me go, I went 8 in live performance for Nas.
You went higher than I did.
And the only reason why I did is because of, again, that's more recent stuff and what he's been able to do in South by Southwest, and when he did that at the Kennedy Center and performed Illmatic with the live band and all that, and with the orchestra, rather, not even live band, it was the National Orchestra. So I gave him a boost for that. But yeah, if it weren't for some of the recent things, it would have been lower than that.
I agree. And I already know without looking, like, I gave him a 7, even with all those things kind of considered. I didn't really consider the Illmatic Orchestra thing, but that wouldn't have been enough to push him to a 8 in my estimation still as a performer. Because that would have put him too closer in the realm of other guys who I just know from seeing live or superior performers.
I'm okay with me going down a point. Even when I went back and looked at it, I'm like, yeah, 8 might be too generous. But we'll go through it, and we're going to get through all of that. And I saw DeCarlo was asking about the criteria. We're going to get to all of that. But I want to get to a Cash App that was sent to us, I think it was yesterday. Let me make sure I get everybody's name right who sent this. And yes, it was from Ray Poetry. Ray Poetry wants us to talk about this Dame Dash and Shannon Sharp interview. And first off, man, shout out to Ray. I appreciate you even wanting us to cover this, because I don't think a lot of publications, or enough publications, cover Dame Dash in its proper tense, in his proper tense. Anytime they get sound bites from Dame Dash and don't really talk about the whole. And I think some of the sound bites and clips that I've been seeing from other media outlets is talking about either him and Jay, or talking about, I guess, him and Kanye's relationship and stuff like that. More of the gossipy things. And I love the interview. I think I want to watch it again. And I got a lot from it. And so much respect for Dame. I've always had a lot of respect for Dame. And just his approach. And it makes me feel like, you know what? I'll get into it in a second. What were your thoughts on the interview? Because I could really go on and on about it.
I'll say we could do a whole show about that interview. I mean, what I will say about Dame is that I know Kanye always gives a more fascinating and striking interview personality-wise. But this is the guy that I love hearing talk most in hip-hop, actually, Mike. He's my favorite person to listen to in hip-hop speak, because he speaks culturally to so many things that embody our culture when he is speaking. For one, I think like if we were ranking our moguls, he would have the intangibles on 10. You know what I mean? And just on a personal level, as far as relatability, some of the things that he said, I understood all too well and all too clearly, and also to just reference point, I think he made the strongest quote that I've heard in the past decade, which is, I don't hustle for my first name. I hustle for my last name. So he embodies that and lives that. And he speaks with a clarity. And when I mean a clarity, because he speaks immediately.
Yeah.
So he's clear about what it is that he's feeling and he's thinking, and he is prepared to answer every question. He's a brilliant man.
I mean, there were tons of quotes even in this interview. even when the NFL was brought up, and I'm going to get into that in a second, he was like, I'm not going to complain about what they do. I'm going to complain about what I don't do.
That's what I mean.
And it's like, yeah. And it's no way, I feel like, listen, I'm going to go back into that because we're going to talk about the NFL and that relationship and, and just the current people that work with the NFL and the stuff that's going on with that. But I do want to start with the fact that everything, me personally, that we love and feel about Rockefeller and what Rockefeller means and what reasonable doubt and all that stuff that Jay talks means, Dame embodies that to this day. And it's uncompromising. And when I listen to him speak in this Shannon Sharpe interview, this was the fuck the industry Rockefeller that we all fell in love with. And he's always been that. Never changed that. Never adapted to what, I guess, the industry or what the music industry has told him he needed to do to be successful in it. And he addressed that too. And just the ceiling that is in the industry, like the music industry, depending on what you're trying to do. And clearly, somewhere down the line, Jay wanted to do something different than what we know Rockefeller for being and what the disruptor that they were in the industry. I mean, I just feel like after listening to Dame and just listening to him talking about different industries and different topics and just entrepreneurship altogether, I don't feel like Jay-Z's a disruptor on no level. He is a what's the word I'm looking for? He has I don't want to say compromised, that's a little bit too harsh, but he has conformed. He has conformed. Jay-Z has conformed, and for whatever reason we praise that, and that's fine. Anybody can praise that or whatever, but that ownership talk and everything that Dame talks about when it comes to ownership, I feel like that's what we go to Rockefeller for. And that's honestly what Jay talks in his music, but when the music is done and he's doing these individual moves, it's not always about ownership.
Rarely.
I mean, i.e., we talk about, the Ace of Spades deal from last year. We talk about the title acquisition from Jack Dorsey from last year that put Jay on the Cash App table. This isn't about, gave him a seat at the Cash App table, excuse me. That's not about passing down anything but actual money, which is fine too. But the ownership talk,
that's Dame.
Yeah. I think you froze up a little bit.
Am I froze?
Yeah, I think you froze up a little bit.
Want me to hit you back?
Yeah. Clock out and come back in. Let me get to Ray Rim super chat real quick. Shout out. What's up? He's gone. He'll be right back though. Be right back. All right, let me get to Ray Rim super chat. He said Dame Jazz schooled that brother to the point where Shannon's responses were cringeworthy. He said, my name came out as Ray. Oh, okay. Rather than Ray Rim. Okay, shout out to Ray Rim. You're the one that wanted us to talk about this Dame interview. We appreciate that, Ray Rim.
Yeah, he been up in here.
Yeah. So Ray Rim, he had a comment about, my name came out as, okay, he told me that, yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, the thing was, and I think what you're talking about is when Shannon Sharpe asked Dame Dash about buying an NFL team.
I don't know if he schooled Shannon per se, but you also have to understand that, like, where Dame is in business, like you said, he's been a mogul since he was in his early 20s at this. He's almost 50 now. So he just knows things business-wise that Shannon doesn't know because Shannon hasn't existed in that realm. Shannon was an athlete for most of his adult life until his mid-30s. And then has been an on-air personality for the better part of the past decade and a half. So his ventures and his realm into the business world is really recent, last 5 to 10 years. And so when you're speaking to somebody who has like 2-3 4 decades worth of experience, and you're like going on decade number 1 worth of experience, and you all are having a dialogue about that about that realm or about that genre or subject matter, of course it's going to look like that person is schooling you, because there's a lot to be learned from that person.
Well, I was gonna say, I think he wanted to actually be schooled because
Yes.
he's sitting there with Dame to actually soak up knowledge and letting Dame speak about some things that he's experienced in that, like you said, Shannon is dipping into now with his cognac and
Yeah.
things like that. I also, like I said, I love the part about the NFL and the fact that Dame is starting his own league. We'll definitely follow that and see what's going on with that. But I've always said, in my personal opinion, we talk about the NFL having 1 or 2 black head coaches and 0, black ownership, where the players themselves are 75% of the league. And I'm like, well, if all of you guys say, you know what, I'm not doing this, there's no game. Like we saw how much power the refs had. You remember when the refs did a holdout, you know what I'm saying, for their money in the NFL? And then had those replacement refs out there calling the games. The games were horrible. And that's just with referees. Can you imagine if all of these players stood together and was like, look, we're not doing this, this, and this until this, this, and this gets done? I mean, baseball's going through theirs right now. I mean, it's probably of money, whatever, but just that unity. You can't sit here and complain about what's not being done if you're not willing to unify, especially when you make the majority and you are the game, to do things to change it. I mean, especially with the system. Go ahead.
Hold on, and I want to say this. There is the players need to understand that they do have a lot of power in these situations, because I'm going to tell you what, and everybody that knows me knows this. Oh, my favorite team of all my sports teams are the Atlanta Braves. But do you want to know which sport that I participate in terms of frequenting the least? It is baseball. And because you want to know why? It's because of that strike. Because I feel like that strike cost the best team that we had potentially the World Series, because people were bickering about money. Like, it literally cost our team. And I never forgot that as a young kid and as a fan. And I really haven't looked at baseball the same way since then.
I've had my issues with baseball I played baseball for like 10 years, and and the strike was kind of around, well, it was earlier than that, but a lot of my issues with baseball do follow around that time period as well. All right, the NFL. Well, baseball is a good place to go, because there's one thing that I always get flack for in saying this, and I'm sure some people in the chat are going to have a problem with this as well, but I don't view Jackie Robinson as a hero. I don't. The Negro League was thriving. It was black owned, all black players, and it was making money. Crossing that picket line was the one move that destroyed the only pro sports league that was black owned, black operated, black coaches, all of those things. I don't find that heroic. I just don't. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
Hold on, we're going to pause for a second.
Okay.
I would have to say, that's, first of all, Mike, that's a very, very strong statement that you're making. Like, it's very strong. You understand what you're saying, right?
I do.
Okay. What I would have to say is that your statement is more viable if we can go back and check the numbers and see that the economic viability and sustainability would have been there for that league. Does that make sense?
It was there. It was there. It was there. Yes, it was there. They were doing the same numbers.
Hold on. When I'm saying there and sustainable, as in it's going to flourish into the same multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar industry on that side as it did on the other side?
Who knows? Why wouldn't it?
I mean, what I'm saying is financially, if we were to go look at the economics of it, would it project to be that? Was it projecting to be that, is what I'm saying.
If that weighed in Jackie Robinson's decision, maybe I could go for that, but I doubt that's what it was. Because the thing about it was, too, it wasn't like that there was it wasn't like this was just a talent gap, right? You had guys in the Negro League that were much better than the guys in the Major League and vice versa, whatever. The
Jackie
talent
Robinson
level was equal, right? Jackie Robinson wasn't even one of the best players in the
I
Negro
would say
League.
no. He was. I mean, he probably like 10 to 20. Yeah, like 10 to 20
If
best
that,
players.
you know what I'm saying?
No. He was like 10 to 20 best players, or at least as far as young prospects concerned, he would have been a top 10 young prospect.
It wasn't
You know
like he
what I
was Josh Gibson or something. You
He
know
was
what I'm
not-
saying?
Well,
Josh
listen,
Gibson's out here hitting 900 home runs in his career.
No. He's not Josh Gibson or prime Satchel Paige by any means, but like an
And
accomplished player.
if we want to sit here and look at this though, and just to kind of pinpoint what you're talking about, look at the black players that came after this. So you can't tell me that a Willie Mays wouldn't have made this league viable. You can't tell me talents like a Barry Bonds, a King Griffey, Junior, Senior, whatever, wouldn't have made this league viable. The talent is there. At that point, when the structure was already there, the players were already there, the clubs were already there. At this point, you're just dealing with the talent. And I'm not going to put all of this on Jackie, but he was the guy who did it. If it wasn't him, it probably would have been somebody else. But
So
I'm just saying.
What you're saying, you feel like his convalescence led to the one thing we had ownership of in the sports world.
Yes. And the possibilities of there being a basketball league that duplicated that would have been higher. The possibilities of there being a football league that duplicated what the Negro League did would have been even higher.
No, I'm digging what you're putting down, Mike, just because it's like, you know how I feel about our people, but you know how I feel about like the numbers backing up the feeling too. So it's like the numbers back the feeling. You got a very, very valid point.
The talent's there. And like I said, the system was already there.
We're not talking about talent.
No, I'm just saying. That's the only thing at that point.
We don't even have to go to Barry Bonds and King Griffey. Like, we can stay right there with Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Robbie Peru, Bob Gibson.
Yeah.
You know, like what you want to do.
Straight up.
We might end up with guys like Roberto Clemente.
Yeah, we would.
What's his name? The catcher.
Are you talking about Johnny Bench?
No,
you're talking about Morgan.
Perez.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and again, I'm not knocking anybody who feels another way. Like I said, I catch a lot of flack for saying that anyway because of the adversity that Jackie had to take. But I was watching a documentary and they were talking about some of the other players that followed him after that, and they were getting treated like shit by the fans, by their teammates, and all of that. And a lot of them felt like Jackie had basically, lured them into this situation. I mean, they made their own choices, but they were treated with all the stuff that Dame Dash was talking about, respect. They had, possibilities for ownership and everything when it came to the Negro League.
Dame is big on respect. That's why I like Dame so much.
Yeah.
And Dame lets you know, like, how he feels about being respected and, like, where he's at with it. And he doesn't apologize for it. That's what I mean. It's like, I love hearing him speak because it's like, no, he's letting you know exactly who he is, where he's coming from, the why. He even expresses and discusses some of the traumatic circumstances that psychologically affect his decision-making process. He's like, no, I'm traumatized. He's like, he's like feeling disrespected. I'm going to respond.
I think on another note too, man, when you talk about the competitive level, right? We big up Babe Ruth, and we'll get back to the Dame Dash interview in a second. No, I mean Babe Ruth.
America? You mean like America?
Babe Ruth is great. America, you know what I'm saying? Like baseball, period. Like they put Babe Ruth at the highest of everything, but hold
on. So how you feel like about Jackie? That's how I feel about Babe Ruth. It's like, well, show me the black people and the Hispanics he played against, and it's like, well,
exactly.
That's how I feel about all those white guys.
That's what I was gonna get to.
Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. It's like, yeah, that's cool. Show me the black guys they played against. It's like,
they didn't compete against everybody.
Hold on, guess what? Asterisks.
You're right.
Asterisks.
They didn't compete against everybody. I'll give you that.
Against everybody, so I don't want to hear how great Babe Ruth was.
The rules were slightly different too, right? And
black people, he wouldn't have had that many home runs had he played black pitchers. He wouldn't have struck out that many people if he would have had played against black hitters. So he's not that great. We don't know.
I will say this. I will give Babe Ruth this, and I always find this interesting. Babe Ruth was leagues ahead of the people that he played with. But no one ever says anything against that. But when we start talking about Wilt Chamberlain scoring 100 points in the game 45 years later, everybody, he didn't play against anybody. Man played against Bill Russell. If y'all are going to say that stuff about Wilt Chamberlain, I'm going to need y'all to have that same smoke for Babe Ruth.
I mean, who are the greatest players before Babe Ruth shows up? Rogers, Hornsby, and Cy Young, correct? I mean, right? And then around, and after him, Lou Gehrig. And Lou Gehrig was probably a better all-around player offensively. He just wasn't a pitcher. And so it's like you didn't have a lot of comp, fam.
Well, I'm not gonna shit on Babe Ruth. He was great. He was definitely leagues ahead of everybody that was playing at the time.
Great. He was great against like playing against white people. Like in a league where if you go look at the numbers, Mike. I mean, looks like blacks, especially offensively, and Hispanics. Albert Pujols, Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron. I mean, what are we talking about? You get what I'm saying? So, no, he's not that great.
Well, you know what? You're answering my question about how valuable the Negro League would have been.
No, I'm not. See, that's what I'm saying. I was always taught in relationship.
Reggie Jackson, yeah.
Yeah, Reggie
all
Jackson.
That, man.
All that.
Imagine if all of those players were, because, again, it wasn't like it was a talent gap here. Stayed in the Negro League, and the Negro League continued to thrive and was making money, this and that. And they did not cross that picket line. Like,
what year did Ted Williams hit 400? People keep holding on to? Because I'd be like, yeah, give me Tony Gwynn's 394 in the strike-shortened season because he was hitting up against everybody. Randy Johnson in his prime, Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, Roger Clemens, Pedro Martinez.
So, with all that being said, I really admire what Dame Dash is doing. But now, at this point, if you're starting a whole nother league, there's going to be a talent gap, right? Because he's doing an arena football league. People could say, oh, well, they couldn't beat this team. The Negro League was a place where it was all equal. You know what I'm saying? And that single, I'm going to call it what it is, crossing the picket line moment for Jackie Robinson tore all of those things into array. And it just did. And for me, I don't feel like that's heroic. I understand why the mainstream media wants you to feel like Jackie Robinson is a hero, but not to me.
No, I mean, you know, I'm a contrarian, Mike. I like what you're putting down. Like I said, I just want to check the numbers because you know how I feel about it. You heard how I just talked about Babe Ruth. I mean, so you know how I really feel about it at the end of the day. So it's like, and this is what I mean. I was taught or educated as such that part of the barrier being crossed had to deal with the Negro League struggling to survive and to pay its players.
That's a
falsehood.
That was not the case. No, because this is right after. Yeah, I mean, because let's keep it real. Even back then, when they want to talk about integration and all of that, there was the black side of town where we had the clubs, we had the bars. We got all the jazz bands and this and that. White folks was they wanted to come to that side of town and kick it. So you don't think they wanted to go to these baseball games where it was all black players? Like you said, let's keep it real. I don't care how people feel about it. Faster, you know what I'm saying? More athletic. Their games were probably much more entertaining.
Exciting.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you want to sit here and tell me they weren't making money?
Entertainment value.
Let's be real now. So it wasn't no TV where you could flick the channel or whatever. They were going to these games.
Mm-hmm.
And this league was making money and the infrastructure was there. And I think that's why I feel so strongly about that single incident because the infrastructure was there. That could have definitely carried over to basketball easily. That could have definitely carried over to football. There weren't endorsement deals at that time. So imagine once those things came about, these leagues would have got this first.
No, I like everything that you're putting down, Mike. It makes me smile. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, no, you're saying some solid stuff. And and I'm glad that we're having this conversation, a relationship, and talking about somebody like Dame Dash because, what you're doing with that sentiment is much like Dame Dash did throughout that interview and does all the time. Well, he's making you think and challenge the status quo, the thought to make you think about, well, why does the status quo exist that way? Does that status quo even benefit me at all? Does it even benefit me to think in this frame of mind?
I just find it so interesting listening to that interview how differently Dame and Jay are when it comes to how they look at business.
No, I don't think it's how they look at it. I think it's in terms of operations. I think it's the
Yeah.
operation of the business. It's like, and that's what he mean. Remember when he was like, no, he played for that team over there. Like, I don't like how they that's same saying. It's like, no, I don't like how they operate. They business over there. I'm operating like this.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that was to
Like,
keep
like
things self-contained and
right. Dame's not gonna cut checks off after he sells off a piece. He's like, no. He's like, it's like own this. You heard how he talked about his friends' houses? Like, I got a lot of friends with big houses.
yeah,
He's
and it's like, you want your own house. And then if you don't have your own house, you can't complain about how you're treated in someone else's house.
hey, real talk. It's hard for me to stay in somebody's home that's not as comfortable as mine, Mike. Because why would I do that? That's not a slight to you.
Yeah.
I'm used to living a certain type of way. So I want to be comfortable.
When it's
You don't
yours,
like
it feels different.
Right. You don't like it? It's like, I'm comfortable at home. It's what I'm used to.
I mean, let's just be real. And like Dame said, and I'm glad he said this because a lot of people don't say this on, big outlets. But doesn't matter how much money you have, the NFL does not have to let you in as an owner.
Letting you know.
They vote on these things.
Hold on. Can we go to another strong thing that he said when he was talking about all that? He's like, they don't even use their money. And I want people to understand this again. They don't even use their money. You hear I said they sell the branding and the naming and the rights and the licenses to the stuff before it's even erected to get it erected.
No, he's right.
Are you taking notes, everybody? Is everybody sitting back and taking notes?
And I think that, even myself, like, even though you look into some of these things, there's a lot of these things you don't know until you actually deal with. And from somebody like Dame who is dealing with it and has dealt with it, you kind of got to listen to what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? Because there'll be people like, oh, Dame ain't got no money. Dame don't. Look, he knows.
Hold on.
How
Mike.
many teams have you bought
hold on,
or
Mike.
attempted to buy?
Hold on, Mike. I mean, let's just get personal with it right quick. And this is what I mean about how, like, you have to see stuff. I came to you 3 years ago and I was like, I kind of want to like a piece of according to hip hop because I can kind of see like where we're going and what we're doing and wanting to take part in. It's like I didn't want to just like play on the team. That's what I mean about how I can relate to the game. I was like, no, Mike, I'm like, we're going somewhere. It's like I want a small stake someday to pass on to my kid. Like not to sell it off,
to build. That's what it's about. It's about building.
And what are we here doing? You know what I'm saying? So it's like people got to understand the frame. There has to be a certain frame of mind that comes with it. And so like Dame isn't as arrogant or as cocky as he seems is really what I was trying to say.
Him and Kanye have a lot of similarities in that, right? And I want to get to unknowns.
It's arrogant.
Let me get the unknown super chat, man. He says, I agree with the problem with segregation and separate and equal wasn't the separate part. It was the equal part. Right. It's again, just there's a stat. I think it was I think Obama was on like the Breakfast Club, and he said something like he got the what was it? I want to get the stat right. I think it was the black unemployment rate. He said he got the black unemployment rate down to a record number that it's been since 1968. And I'm like, damn, you telling me we was doing better before 1968? But I'm just saying, like, when you talk about being able to survive in your own communities, and a lot of other communities in America are able to do that seamlessly because they have that language barrier, right? Like, you have Hispanic grocery stores and they're going to have Hispanic patrons. A lot of that due to, different language barriers possibly in different communities, but that keeps them being able to shop with each other. No other community has to be told that they need to shop black. You know what I mean? Or bank black or whatever. Those things are just automatic. But before before integration, we were at that point and we were financially viable.
You want to know what? And here is my thing. Not even being financially viable, to speak to that just a little bit. And we can kind of like...
Independent as well, yeah.
That's the part about it. It's more about the independence, the integrity, and the trust. Because you want to know what came with the integration, really, was further distrust of each other.
It's true.
And I see it every day. Mike, like all jokes aside, selling life insurance, like... people like kind of like black people check me. Like it's like the black integrity check to make sure the stuff that I is actually am telling them is real. Because it's almost like they can't believe it. And I've even told a couple of them, like on some time to kill shit, like imagine a white person is saying this to you. And that's when they're like, oh, come on in. I'm like, yeah, right. Man, that's what immigration did too. You get what I'm saying? Like, it hurt us communities in terms of even like the value system in terms of us trusting each other. It's like I've had to tell people, it's like, imagine a white guy's telling you this right now, though. And they're like, oh.
I feel bad. Yo, my parents are from Anniston, Alabama, right? I grew up in the 80s and early 90s, whatever. I remember going to Anniston, and the black businesses that clearly had been around since like the 70s and probably even 60s, they were still around thriving. They were on their last leg. And, I saw as I grew older and older, that city's like a ghost town now, man. And it's unfortunate. I don't know the details. I know Fort McClellan was a big part of the city's economy. And it was a Fort base. It was an Army base. And so when that base went down, a lot of the economy went with it. But it's interesting to see that a lot of those, black-owned businesses that probably were in the segregation era that were passed down one generation didn't make it a second and third generation. And I don't know if people sold. That's possibly a thing. But, yeah, I mean, ownership, I saw what ownership looked like passed down. And I guess I was the last generation to see that. And we're talking about just a regular middle class community in Alabama.
No, so Mike, so let's go to this on my side, and this kind of speaks to who we are and how we ended up here together. Well, the Coopers have owned land since about 1910, and so that's kind of been our family business, is the ownership of land and farming. And what I'm currently in the process of doing is looking for land to buy to do what? Cultivate and farm, because it's the only thing that my family's ever known, that they've ever shown me, that is lineage, success, foundational, building. These are the things Dame Dash is speaking to. He just happens to be in the entertainment industry, but he's really talking about it on a black wealth level for every family. You get what I'm saying? For my family, it's land and farming. It's what we've done.
Yeah, my family too. Chico Patterson says our Army base is still there. Terrence Keith said Anniston is a very racist city. I'm from Alabama as well. Wow. Is the base still there? Because I thought the Fort McClellan...
Alabama action today.
Yeah, we got Alabama in the building. Carly says, your view on Dame Dash has a football game. Discuss that. What did Jay-Z sue Dame Dash for? Okay, I can cover that one because I don't really understand the other comment. Well, it was the NFTs, right? And I think that Dame was trying to leverage his, as he should, his ownership and Reasonable Doubt, and he was going to sell it to, he was going to get off of his ownership of Reasonable Doubt.
He's leveraging his stake, something that he owns, to make a bigger and better play.
He should be able to do that.
Are we taking notes now?
Because my thing is, listen, I know we as fans view it as Jay-Z's album, but on a business aspect, it's Jay-Z, Dame, and Big's album. And let's be real, guys. If Jay didn't need these guys out the gate, we wouldn't have even known who Dame and Kareem were. So obviously he needed them for something. Mm-hmm. And, and when you do something with people and you build something together and you all needed each other, you got to respect that as time goes on. That doesn't change because you become who you become. It's just the bottom line.
No. I mean, everything's solid, man.
Like, it's but yeah,
everything he put down was solid to me.
I wish Dame the best in his arena football league, and I want to support that as much as possible, and everything else that he has going on, because I respect the mentality. I mean, everything that Kanye says, and Dame said that he put Kanye on game. I could see that.
No, even when he's like breaking down, I mean, he obviously has an eye for stuff. Jay, Kevin Hart, and like everywhere with it. Lee Daniels, Kanye.
Yeah.
Hey,
He invested in these people's careers. And it feels like the only person, like he said, that actually listen and gives back.
It's Kanye.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because as soon as certain people get invited to a luncheon or, a gala, they leave Dame behind, it seems like. Lee Daniels tried to act like he didn't even know Dame at that Diana Ross concert.
He tried to stun on Dame. I'm never forgetting that.
Remember the whack thing? You know what I didn't like about that is when he was asked about it, he said something along the lines of, I went ahead and gave it to him because I know he needs that. No, nigga, you owe that. Don't try to pull that shit. Yeah.
Right. Hold on. First of all, you don't know what Dame needs, but what you need to be doing as a black man, so it's not to stigmatize us further, is to pay what you motherfucking owe, nigga.
Period.
What's wrong?
What's the problem?
Pay what you owe. With your weak ass. I don't understand these dudes, man. Like Dame, like Dame's a good dude. You understand? Like for him to be from Harlem and like be through some of the things that he's been through, and for that dude to owe him that type of bread, for him not to get physical with him, you know what type of restraint that takes as a man?
Right. Man, I gotta ban somebody from the broadcast. Let me go ahead and.
What done happened?
Yeah, they're getting some spam here, man. I guess we start talking about that stuff, you get spammed. Hold on 1 second, people. We'll get back to.
That's very problematic.
We'll get back to the program as usual. Let's see, remove this post. Okay.
Is that where we at?
Yeah, I guess that's where we at. All right. Spam in the chat. Let me see if I can go ahead and delete this real quick. We're going to need some moderators in a minute. Shit.
Ooh. Growth and development is healthy. But overall, I want to say, while you're taking care of that, Mike, it was a great interview by Shannon overall, because here's what you do when you're actually like great at something. You let other people be great at what they're at. And Dame's great at talking and putting people on game. And so if that's going to be an interview where it feels like class is in session, then it's like, well, so be it. It's Dame, and Dame's kind of earned that. And I don't know about you, but it's like every time this man speaks for like literally more than 2 or 3 minutes, I learned something.
No, definitely. And,
Or he reminds me of something that I've already learned that I need to keep with me and stay with me about what I'm trying to do.
And it's interesting because you talk a lot about 97 Hove, and I think that the mentality of Rockefeller from 96, 97 is what we love the most. Like the hits that they did from, 98 on, great, whatever. But that mentality of we're taking on the industry, we ain't taking no bullshit, fuck you, pay me, that's Dame. And it makes me feel like when I listen to an interview like this, Jay-Z was speaking through Dame's lens. Like, imagine if Dame could rap.
No, you want to know? I just thought my new Instagram tagline is about to be 97 Dame.
Yeah, man. Because he's still that guy.
He is that dude. I love Dame. I told you. Every time he speaks.
Now, the only thing I didn't like, and we could cover this and kind of move on so we can get to our, our MC rating thing. I didn't like when, and a lot of interviewers do this. I think it's natural. And, this ain't no fault on Shannon. I love Shannon.
Me too.
But when he was like, why don't you brothers make up and all this, Dame has to make up with Jay. And I'm glad that Dame got it correct. Like, he has me in court. And he said, I have no problem with him. Bottom line, there's nothing to make up for. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's, y'all want to, pose this like I have a problem with him or there is a problem. There's nothing to make up for. And it makes me feel like people want to see Dame go to like a Rock Nation brunch or something and toast it up. And that makes it over. They want him to kiss the ring. And he refuses to do so, and I can't do nothing but respect that. Because he has earned the right to never have to kiss that ring. Like, dude,
that ring
I put you on the game.
Exists. Right, that ring doesn't exist if Dame doesn't exist. Exactly. And also, too, let's also keep in mind, too, like for whatever tension it may have caused, and here's what I mean about Dame the businessman. Well, it's like, if you really go check the stats, there was ever only one other platinum rapper on Rockefeller, and that was Cameron, and that was Dame's doing.
Kanye was too. Yep.
I don't even see. I
But
don't even feel like Rockefeller is even. But I get. But you get what I'm saying.
I know
you're
what
right.
you mean.
College dropouts.
But I'm saying, but that was Dame's doing too.
Right.
And like
so
Dame said, if I didn't give you a Rockefeller chain, it ain't official.
So let's look at it like this. So Jay, Cameron, Kanye, Dame. Okay, just go ahead and
Lee
check
Daniels, Kevin Hart.
Check the stats. Check the stats.
And you know, again, I know I praise Kanye for being a creator, but when I listen to Dame and everything that he visualized and the people that he put on, he's a creator as well.
And you want to know what? And can I say this? Paid in Full is a great movie. That's a very well done movie.
We love Paid in Full. The culture loves Paid in Full.
Yeah, Paid in Full. Like I don't know how you feel. Like Paid in Full be sitting next to Boys in the Hood and Menace and like all that other. Yeah, it sits right there next to it for me.
I mean, this is what I feel like, right?
It's not those in terms of shock value because it's later, but you know, in terms of quality, yeah.
This is how I feel. I feel like Jay really wanted to be the best rapper and wanted to be thought of as the best rapper ever and wanted to be awarded in that way and decorated in that way on every level. And handling things in the way that Dame handles business wouldn't have allowed him to be decorated in that way in the mainstream. So he conformed. And I know Leroy Green's probably not even in the chat yet, but even if you're a super J fan, as I am, you have to admit that he conformed. He came from he started off on some fuck you pay me and whatever, and he ended up conforming to the industry.
I told you he's the dude. He's that dude Richard Gere's playing on Pretty Woman. He goes into companies, makes them viable, pumps up the stock, chops it down, sells it off, breaks it off into little itty bitty pieces, and keeps it pushing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, I think this is the conflict, right? He's always going to have his personal legacy as an artist to lean on, where Dame's legacy is wrapped in business and ownership. You know what I mean?
And wrapped in the legacies of some artists, because even the Be Coming, Beanie Siegel's best album, that's what I mean. When you go look at even what Dame did musically, when Dame is saying he's never really failed, he's kind of right. Kind of right. You look at what he did musically, film, if you go check the stats, it's like, no, Dame is,
Leroy Green says just tuned in. What up, Mike? Yeah, what up, Leroy Green? We're talking about the difference between Dame Dash and Jay-Z in business.
I've been waiting on you, Leroy, but it's almost time to get to
the next we might have. But you know what? We'll holler at Leroy on another topic.
No, Leroy, I'll see you sometime tomorrow night in the comments about 1-2 in the morning, and I'll be responding to all the shady things that you've said while we're talking. We'll let you know that. We'll respond to everything shady that you say when you go play this bet.
Now, I'm saying a lot of people that are disagreeing with us, but again, people have different viewpoints on how to handle business. For some people, it's about ownership, and for some people, it's about getting a check. And Dame is more about ownership, and
he looks at ownership like the check is guaranteed. Like that's what I mean about his mentality is special. Like when he's talking about love. He's talking about love because he's like, no, I'm talking to you about ownership. You understand the money's going to come, right? So we can talk about love. That's what he's really trying to get you to understand. You're so focused on the money. If you would focus on the ownership aspect of it, you wouldn't be concerned about the money. You would be concerned with what I'm concerned with, which is the ownership side, which brings you the money, thereby the ability not to be concerned with it. So you can focus on the love.
And on that note, we're going to get to the rap report card. So
I sent you my list, by the way.
Oh, you did? Okay, let me check this out.
Yeah, I sent it to you so you can have something to go off of so we can kind of go back and forth. I know you can't.
Okay, that's the file that I got. Okay, cool. All right. Shoot, I might even add this, man. So you finished it?
Yeah. I told you I had it written down on paper. I just had to import it into an actual file that I could put some put some data in. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Let's do this for the show, man. We'll go ahead and put it in. And basically, go ahead and tell the people what we're doing and while I'm putting all this in.
Yeah, so I mean, we've all been having a lot of conversations and a lot of debates. It's all subjective and objective about like favorite MCs and who does what well. I think what really made us solidify making this list, because we've been talking about it for a while, I think it's when Snoop just made this last album, and we got to talking about the intangibles of Snoop and how he really doesn't get rated properly because, as you like to say, quote unquote, Mike, he doesn't spit that lyrical per se. But if you look at everything else that he does, if there was actually a way to put it out in a format and rank it, he's going to come out higher than a lot of people, because some of the things that he does are things that you can't qualify. Like Snoop is somebody, and we're going to get to Snoop, but intangibles, versatility, freestyle live performance, longevity career, longevity records, legacy, collabs, delivery, voice. Like, look at all these categories. When you go through actual categorization of what a great MC is, what you're going to find is somebody like Snoop checks more boxes than you realize. And that's kind of why we started doing this, because I think things are getting too skewed on two sides, and that's on lyrics and albums, which means if you got both of those, you're automatically there.
I know y'all see a blank screen right now, but I'm putting his chart up. Let's see. Yours is kind of blurry, so you might have to walk us through it when we get to it.
No, that's cool.
But all right, so the MCs, you know what? Let me just go ahead and put the chart up there so people can see. And if you can't see this and it's too small, I feel you will get through it, right? All right. Yeah. So the MCs that we chose for these categorizations are Rakim, KRS, Nas, Method Man, Jay-Z, Pusha T, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Conway, and Lil Wayne. The criteria that we're putting on a scale from 1 to 10, we got lyrics, voice, delivery, storytelling, catalog of albums, collaborations, longevity records, which is different than career longevity, like how well do your records hold up. Career longevity's there. We got battle tested. We got legacy, live performance, content, intangibles, hooks, hook game, versatility, and I gave an overall score. So, oh man, you want me to just, all right, let me go through mine real quick. So Rakim,
if you want to start with Rakim, because what I can do is while you're starting with Rakim, I can tally up my overall score for each guy while you're doing it.
I gave Rakim a 10 on lyrics.
Next.
All right, I gave Rakim a 10 on voice.
Hold on. I don't know. I may have given. I think I gave him a 10 on voice. What am I tripping? Next.
All right, I gave him a 10 on delivery.
I did not do that. I gave him an 8 on delivery because his delivery never changed.
Okay. I thought that was more of a versatility question, but okay.
Is that more of a versatility question?
I thought, but that's how I took it. Because again, yeah. All right, so storytelling, I gave him a 7.
So did I.
All right, catalog of albums, I gave him a 9.
I did too.
Collaborations, I gave him a 7. He didn't collaborate a lot.
So did I, but when he did, it was epic.
Longevity of records, I gave him a 10. His shit's timeless.
Yep.
Longevity of career, I gave him an 8.
I gave him a 7 because of the 5-year break.
Okay. Battle tested, I gave him an 8. And let me explain this.
I gave him a 10. Let me explain when you get
done. Oh, you gave him a 10?
Yes.
I gave him an 8 because it never really happened, but he was putting it out there, and I think everybody backed down. When you talk about the follow the leader with EPMD or whatever, and you talk about let the rhythm hit him, that being aimed at Kane, and I feel like No Omega's kind of aimed at LL. I could be wrong, but it's kind of like it never really went full out. But the reason why I never went full out because this man was just hitting on so many cylinders and nobody would respond. So that's not really tested to me. But I still gave it high.
So here's what I also put in for being battle tested. And think about this when I'm saying this. Look at the era MCs that he came up in. When I mean being tested too, I mean you have to perform at a certain sort of level as an MC to even be considered in the upper echelon. So when you look at his era, it's one of the things where rhymes, lyrics, and having the ability to rhyme on a high level, that was the competition, was rhyming at a high level. That's what made him battle tested. And to your other point, part of why I gave him a 10 for it is like, well, nobody wanted to test him.
Right.
Didn't nobody want to test him, and he sent people back to the lab when he dropped "Follow the Leader" and "Microphone Fiend." Like people started rap. Like it's not the hits are on Paid in Full. The shit that sent MCs back to the lab was "Follow the Leader" and "Microphone Fiend." The lyrics of Fury. It's like, okay, hold on, no, rapping better than everybody. Clearly, you get what I'm saying?
Right.
In probably the most lyrical era. So that's why I gave him the 10 because it's like, well, didn't nobody want it. Because he was the best at it. And as far as lyrical competition at the time, which what mattered the most, well, he was the best, which is why didn't nobody want it. That's a 10 for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that. Listen, let me go ahead and report this spam. It's back.
This is very problematic.
Yeah, man. Come on, man. We're trying to do a broadcast here. Let's see. Yeah. All right. That should do it on that. Sorry about that, guys. Back to the proceeding. Anyway. All right. So, Battle Tested, I gave him an 8. Legacy, I gave him a 10.
Yep.
Live Performance, I gave him an 8.
Gave him a 7.
Gave him a 7. I'm not mad at that. Content, I gave him a 9. What did you give?
I gave him a 10. He's the god.
Okay.
Yeah.
Intangibles, I gave him a 10.
Intangibles, I gave him a 9.
Hook Game, I gave him a 7.
Hook Game, I gave him a 5.
Ooh. That dropped his score a lot.
It did. He's still super high. But
Versatility, I gave him a 10.
Versatility, I gave him a 6.
Ooh.
He's never done anything different on the mic than what he's done on the mic. That to me is what versatility is.
Okay. I guess I looked at that versatility a little bit different.
How did you look at it? How did you look at it? Because the difference in it is making me want to change my score.
Well, I gave him the versatility of we know what he sounds like over Premier. We know what he sounds like, on the Truth Hurts record. We know what he sounds like. Oh, you know what? The versatility I gave him points for is the fact that I've never heard Rakim sound uncomfortable on a record. He sounded good on everything.
Okay, if you were to say it like that, Mike, I would give him an 8. I was thinking about the content, the subject matter, and the delivery.
Okay.
Because the subject matter has stayed the same, and so has the delivery, and that's why that. But you make a strong point about that part of it because he's never come off bad on the track, no matter what the track has been. And so I would meet you in the middle and make mine a 7 instead of a 6 because of what you said.
You don't feel like Don't Sweat the Technique was very different. You don't feel like, just what we knew for him to do originally or Know the Ledge. Because it's like he transitioned through different eras of hip hop seamlessly. And we didn't think anything of it, like Ghetto. And
what'd you give him? You gave him a 10 for that?
I gave him a 10.
I can see your vision, and I'll get off my 6 and give him an 8.
Okay.
I can do that.
Well, he got a overall.
I like your explanation of that because I did not look at versatility like that. Like because that's super detailed. If you're looking at it like, oh, well, that's track to track with,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's hard to say he's a 10 in Battle Tested. I think people are having an issue with that. Jordan House said Roxanne Shante is more battle tested than Rakim. I think that's a fair point. I gave him an 8 because it never happened, but we saw what it would possibly be like if it did happen. Damn, I went KRS next. Y'all, you want to hit a KRS?
Hold on. What would your score be for Rakim?
My overall score for Rakim was 133.
Okay, with my score, if we alter my versatility, he gets a 127 instead of a 125.
Okay.
But I still think he might actually score the highest. I'm pretty certain him, KRS, or Nas are going to score the highest because I didn't do my tallies.
Okay. All right. Well, KRS.
Yeah.
I got lyrics a 9.
I got 10.
Voice a 10.
I got 9.
Oh man, that voice is powerful. Delivery a 9.
I got 8.
Storytelling, I gave him an 8.
I gave him a 7. Not enough stories, even though they're great when he does them.
Mm-hmm. Catalog of albums, I gave him a 9. Not a lot of people got the catalog that he has.
I gave him a 9 too.
Collaborations, I gave him an 8.
So did I.
Longevity, I gave him a 9. I'm sorry, longevity of records, I gave him a 9.
Longevity of records, I gave him an 8.
Okay. I mean, Criminal Minded is, I was thinking MCs act like they don't know and stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not saying it's not. I mean, for me, 8
his
is
stuff
strong.
aged really well.
How about this? For me, it's like very few people are going to get a 10 on longevity of records.
Okay.
Like Rakim's getting that. Snoop's getting that. You feel what I'm saying?
I think that's fair.
Okay.
Longevity of career, I got 10.
So do I.
Battle tested, I got 10.
So do I.
Legacy, I got 10. He the teacher.
Legacy, I got 9. Because here's how I look at legacy too. I also look at legacy, and I want you to think about this. I gauge legacy also too is how you're being remembered in your time, but also how you have held up over time. And so if we're just going for his era and the era right after him, 10, easy. But in the last 15 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I was kind of, but again, I know his name rings bells, so it's like 10. But anyway, live performance, I gave him a 10. Damn, I gave KRS a lot of 10s.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. It's like when you start breaking this down in terms of criteria. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're going to compose a list of, hold on. Before we go, like, we're going to compose a list of everybody we're doing so that there's a full sheet that we can rank on. These are just the first 10 we're doing. Yeah.
No, I'm with that. I think that'll be a great idea. Yeah, live performance 10 with KRS. Content, I gave him 10.
So did I. The teacher.
Intangibles 10.
I gave him an 8. Because I think everything that's great about KRS you can mostly see. It's clear to see. You get what I'm saying?
I'm fine with that being dialed back.
The voice is booming and clear to see. The lyrical capability is everywhere and clear to see. The performance and aura is there and clear to see.
Miles Cage Jr. says KRS is outside. He is.
Motherfucker outside. Yeah, he is.
He said the new KRS album is dope.
I am an MC. Are you one too?
Hook Game, I gave him an 8.
Hook Game, I gave him a 7.
Okay. Versatility, I gave him a 9.
I gave him a 7 again.
He ended up.
I think outside of Criminal Minded, he's been pretty much like the teacher and been on message with being that guy, which doesn't speak to like diversifying. But if we're going back to that track thing that you're saying again, Mike, I'm gonna bump him up another point too.
Because he's been able to show what he can do on a variety of tracks. Remember when he started going with that fast flow and everything?
The 10-bar style. Yeah, no, I'm cool with it. I'm like, based on your criteria and me thinking it's valid, I'll give him an 8 for versatility as well. Okay. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
People are saying, how can they get a list? We're going to make up a list for you guys. Reggie says KRS breath control at his age is unreal. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're at Nas. Y'all ready for Nas?
What was your score for KRS?
139, man.
Told you he scored higher than Rakim, didn't he?
He scored higher than Rakim on my list, and I'm a Rakim guy.
You want to know why? Live performance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That went a long way.
I'm gonna tally him up right quick, but you can go to Nas. That's
all right.
Cool.
Let me go to Nas real quick. I got Nas lyrics a 10.
Duh.
Voice, I gave him a 9.
I gave him a 10 for his voice, but you and I have kind of had.
We've had that conversation.
I didn't know that you didn't love Nas's voice like that. I thought his voice for me is one of those voices that it's like right after we get past like Biggie, Method Man, and Tupac, he's in that next level conversation to me. He's not for you though.
Nah, he's not for me.
Right, but he is for me. Like,
but I do love because it's a lot of different Nas voices, right? I like Nas's voice when he's on like live nigga rap. Like the way he sounds on there or the way he sounds on Silent Murder or something. Yes, that's a 10. But, he don't sound like that all the time. And again, I'm matching the 10s up with the people I think would be 10s voice-wise. It's going to be like Meth, Snoop. I got Rakim in that. Chuck D. Biggie.
No, I get it.
And I just don't think he's that. Delivery, I gave him a 9. Only because, same thing. Same thing.
I gave,
Because
I gave him
sometimes his delivery is better than like that's why we love Magic so much. When he's like that, yes.
okay, so can I say something? I gave him an 8 because you want to know what? If you go look at all of his albums, he delivery wise has only been like that for a little bit of over a third of them.
Yeah.
Like where like delivery is just astounding beginning to end. And here's the thing about it. I want all the Nas fans listen to this. Delivery wise, when he's on, those are all his classic albums. It's not about the rhymes. It's not about the stories. When his delivery is on, that's where you can find all his classic albums. When his delivery is on is when he makes his classic shit. Magic, It Was Written, Illmatic, Godson, Lost Tapes, Stillmatic. Go look at the delivery. When that's when he makes his best stuff is when his delivery's on. That's also why I gave him an 8.
I see niggas running. You know, my real rule. Lay you out, show you a still do.
Dude, right. It's like, when do you start talking like that? Right.
Like Pun said, you ain't even in me class. So again, if we start talking about people with 10 deliveries, let's look at Big Pun. You know.
Even if I started, I would feel shit on you.
Yeah. I rub your face off the earth and curse your family's children like Amityville and drill the nerves in your cavity feeling. Insanity's building a pavilion in my civilian. And can it be the energy that humanity's building? Like, yeah, that's a 10. So, yeah.
10, so I'm giving...
Listen, I was very generous with the 9. But, again...
I was surprised you gave him the 9. I mean, yeah, he's getting an 8 from me for delivery.
Storytelling, 10.
Yep. Next.
Catalog of albums, what he's been able to do with his albums, especially even in recent time, I gave him a 10.
He's our first 10 for catalog of albums, and I'm going to say this once again. Oh, that has a lot to do with the last 3 albums because it wasn't a 10 before then. It was a 9. Mm-hmm.
Collaborations, 9.
Actually, I gave him a 10 for collaborations.
I figured you would.
Well, I mean, his collaborations are some of the best rap stuff ever, and so how can we not? Let's go to where we first heard him, Live at the Barbecue. Let's go to Cool G Rap, Fast Life. Mobb Deep, Eye for an Eye. AZ, More Money, More Murder, More Homicide. Verbal Intercourse. I mean, he was a 10 on guest appearances before he dropped It Was Written.
You were ready to take on the Rap Roundtable, and we still might do that, just on Nas features against Jay-Z features alone.
Yes.
And now I'm kind of getting a bit of a window into that, and I think that we might need to go ahead and do that. I'm getting a little bit more confidence in that now.
Hold on. Listen to those. I just named 5 Nas collaborations, and we're not even in 1996.
Yeah, I think I'm getting a little bit more confidence in that.
That's why I said we could beat them with a Nas collaboration guest verse list. So that's part of why I gave him a 10 on that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
so you
like
gave him a 10.
Collab.
You gave him a 10 on that collaborations. I gave him a 9. Longevity of the records, 10.
Hold on. You get longevity of records. You gave him a 10. You gave him a 9.
Huh?
I gave him a 9 for
longevity. You gave him a 9. I mean, all I can say is Illmatic. The timelessness.
Right, but it's the whole career, not just one record.
I thought it was how well their music has aged. Well, you know what? If we want to talk about collectively,
that's what I mean.
It is a 9.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that. I'm
looking at collectively how his music has aged, which is very high praise to say that it's a 9. That's what I'm saying. If you're saying it's 10, it's like, I don't know if anybody's getting a 10 for that.
Okay. I'm down with taking that back to a 9. Longevity of career, now that's a 10.
Yeah. That's
Battle tested, 10.
Yeah.
Legacy, 10.
Actually, here's what I will tell you. I put him down for a 9 for legacy, and here's why.
Okay.
So much of his legacy is attached to other people, and it's just now really starting to get attached to him properly. So it's not the Rakim or even Jay-Z effect with the legacy. No, I don't consider it to be that. Mm-hmm. But it's turning into that like it always should have been. That's really on the people that I'm giving him a 9 for that too. Like, because legacy has a lot to do with how people are remembering you too. And you have to understand, for most of his prime, people were saying that Big and Pac were more well-rounded and more entertaining and made hit records. And then you had Jay right after they passed. And so a lot of his prime was mired by those three guys, even though he's a better MC than all three of those guys, quite frankly.
I think that's very insightful. Very insightful.
Yeah. But 9 for legacy, because it's not the Rakim or Jay-Z effect. No.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Live performance. I gave him an 8 live performance. You gave him a 7.
Yep.
Content, I gave him a 10.
Yep. Easy.
Intangibles, I gave him a 10.
Intangibles, I gave him an 8. Because much like KRS, what he does is clear and it's great from the moment that you hear it. I don't see intangibly a lot of the time what he does where I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe he do that. I think Made You Look is one of those moments that's like intangibly great. But most of his great moments are tangible, Mike. Like Silent Murder is tangible. It's sort of like the conclusion.
I think the intangibles are in his aura. And again, I hate to go back to the Illmatic thing, but we talk about how mythical Illmatic is, him being a prophet and all of these things. Like, those are intangibles that we say it all the time. Jay knows there's nothing he can do about that part of Nas's legacy.
So, but that's the thing.
There's nothing you could do to change the way that Ghostface and these guys speak of Nas. You know what I mean?
Right. So if you're talking about that intangible factor, like carrying his whole career, I don't know if that's intangibly enough to give him a 10, but I can give him a 9 for what you're talking about, but not a 10.
Okay.
Because that's what I'm saying. No, like Snoop's a 10 on intangibles. Nas and Snoop are not the same intangibles.
Yeah, I think Method Man and Snoop are in a league of their own when it comes to intangibles.
So I'm going to just go ahead and speak to something. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I gave Method Man a 10 for intangibles because that's what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm willing to back down if that's what the standard is. And again, this is going to be I guess, an evolving list so we can get this right. But these are just our initial numbers. But you're right. If Method Man and Snoop are the barometer for what a 10 is in intangibles, I can't give Nas the same as those guys. And,
right.
And that's fair.
And so I'm cool with.
I think Lil Wayne is another one of those. I can't front.
Yeah, I'm cool with taking him up to a 9 because of that aura and that presence that you speak of, and,
right.
and the fact that people like Ghostface speak the way about him that they do.
RZA and
Dude, that's crazy. You understand this? Ghostface Killer, he be talking about Nas. Like Busta Rhymes do that shit too, Mike, where they be talking about Nas and you be like, you're not regular, right? like you talk about Nas like he's not regular. You know, like that's how like guys look at you, right?
And it's crazy because it's like he's kind of like KD in that sense, where he views himself as just one of the guys, just going in the gym. You know what I mean? And you're not, man. You different.
Yeah. No.
He walks. You can tell he carries himself like he just walks in the booth and does like a verbal intercourse. Like he's just doing, he's just waiting his turn.
Like he strikes you as somebody that really does ask you, hey, what did you think of that rhyme that I just wrote? Like, really?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Okay. So all right, I'm cool with backing off of intangibles and a 9. Like I said, we're gonna tailor this list. Hook game, I gave him an 8.
Me too.
Versatility, I actually gave him a 9, but a lot of that is for recent stuff.
I gave him an 8. I'm tough.
I was gonna say you were very tough on Nas.
I am because I know people watching us know how I feel about Nas, so I have to grade him the toughest.
I understand that. Well, I ended up with a score of 142, but some of that's going to be dialed back, and again, we're going to get a very modified, list after this show, and we'll post it up on the community section. Let's go to Method Man, because I know we got to get through this.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Method Man. Method Man lyrics, I gave him a 9.
Me too.
Okay. Because you know what? This is what I will say about Method Man as a lyricist. His placement of words is next level.
That's the special part about his game.
The way he puts things where they're put, like The Last Temptation on the Son of David Ruffin type stuff. It's...
I was about to say, go listen to Example Given, go listen to Lemon.
I was going to say Reunited. Oh, well, Lemon too, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, actually, you can just go across the board with it. He's, as far as like gelling words together and contextualize them into the next word. How about this? I'm very, very clear that Biggie's first, like one of Biggie's brightest moments as an MC on Ready to Die came from the pressure of being with Method Man when he goes, flows, hold on, what do he say? Like the hiccups, excuse me, flows just roll through me. Like trees to branches, cliffs to avalanches. It's the praying mantis. He hadn't flowed like that before, okay?
Yeah.
Method Man's on the track. You better start flowing like that. Hello.
All right, here we go. We got voice. Damn, that's a 10.
That's 10.
Delivery, I gave him a 10.
10.
Storytelling, 7.
I gave him a 6.
Okay. Catalog of albums, I gave him a 7. And that's only because I included the Wu-Tang stuff and the Redman stuff. I
gave him 5, but if you're doing that and I didn't do that, that makes it a 7. Okay. Actually, if you're including the Method Man, if you're including the Redman stuff, that actually makes it an 8 for me.
Okay. Collaborations, 10.
10.
Longevity of records, I got 8.
So do I.
Longevity of career, and it's, you know, a lot of the newer stuff is factoring into this. I gave him a 9.
Hold on, you said longevity career? You said 9?
Yep, 9.
So do I. Yep.
Battle tested, 7.
I put 10. He's part of Wu-Tang Clan. All they do is battle rhyme against each other. Have you heard Meth versus Chef?
Man, but see, I guess I'm looking at battle tested like something else.
Battle tested, when you have to rhyme in Wu-Tang Clan for beats, that's the definition of battle tested. Fight me if you don't like that.
I'm not mad at that assessment.
And you go rhyme in a room with those guys and come out on top like he has so many times. Good luck with that shit. Man.
Why are we getting so much spam? The haters, boy. Are you guys from the luncheon committee or something? What is going on? Hold on, let me remove this shit. Okay.
Are we being attacked today?
I guess, man. We're getting all kind of attacks going on.
It's very problematic.
We might have to get some moderators in here, man. Anyway.
Regulating the content.
Okay. And I see you guys that are in the chat that are putting your own scores up there. Keep doing that. Yeah, you guys are putting it together. Yeah, because we factoring in all of that stuff. All right, so Method Man, you gave him 10 on Battle Tested. I disagree with that. I counted that MCs outside of the crew, but I see what you're saying. If I want to factor that in, I'll bring it up to like a 8 or 9. Legacy, I gave him 10.
I'll take it down to 9. Just because I can see what you're saying, but he rhymed in the Wu-Tang Clan though.
He stood
I'm
up.
gonna take Rakim down to a 9 too, just to keep it fair. Because I gotta take Method down off the 10. I gotta take Rakim down off the 10. But he rhymed in Wu-Tang Clan. You do understand that? Okay, I'm just Wu-Tang Clan.
All right, Legacy 10. He's Method Man.
No, Legacy 8 because he hasn't done what he's supposed to do yet. Because he's the only guy on here without a classic album, I believe. So 8.
This is what I would debate that with. Wu-Tang is the biggest global brand in hip hop, right? Who's the face of that?
I knew you were about to say that.
I have to give him that.
We can't give him a 10 because he still has a solo catalog that doesn't speak to him deserving a 10. So we can meet in the middle at 9. But he can't have 10. He can't have 10 for Legacy for no classic solo album. That's not fair.
That's very tough to do. I'm not going to lie.
Right. How you gonna have a 10 Legacy and you haven't made an Illmatic or a Paid in Full or a Reasonable Doubt or Ready to Die or even a Purple Tape within the own spectrum or Supreme Clients or Liquid Swords?
Live performance, I gave him 10.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Hello.
Live performance is crazy. Content, I gave him a 7.
Hold on, let me get back to him right quick. I had to make a couple alterations. You said, hold on, what did you say? Content? You gave him a 7?
Yeah, lyrical content, I gave him a 7.
So did I. Yep.
Intangibles, 10.
10.
Hook game, 10.
10.
Versatility, I gave him a 9.
Nope, gave him a 10 for that too.
I ain't mad at that.
Hold on. So, and let's go to why he got a 10 for versatility right quick, because this is the definition of versatility to me. Mike, I pulled up the 95 fat tape of the year.
I want to hear this, man. You frozen. Can you hang up and come back on?
Yep, we're going to talk about the 95
We got to talk about the 95 fat tape. So what do you guys think about how we scored Method Man so far? To Cal is classic for me, Rare Form says. Jordan House said Meth is one of the best performers in hip-hop ever, and that is facts. Jay Short with the super chat. Shout out to Jay Short. All right, you back in here. We talking about the 95 fat tape.
The 95 fat tape. This is 1995, everybody. This is an easy top 10 rap year and probably a top 5 rap year all time. Is that fair to say, Mike?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
The only person in the fat tape of the year more than once is Method Man, and he's in there 3 times. Can we list the 3 songs that are in there? This is what I mean when I'm talking about versatility on 10. How High, Method Man featuring Redman. Ice Cream, Raekwon, Ghostface Killer, Capadonna, and Method Man. And last but not least, I'll Be There For You, Method Man and Mary J. Blige. Versatility on 10. What you want? One of the best hooks ever? Got it. What you want? One of the best rap duo back and forth ever? Got it. What you want? The best rap love song ever? Got it. Guess what? Got it in 1 calendar year without a fucking solo album.
During a break.
OD, man.
During a break. All right.
So when we're comparing, when we're comparing Method Man to Kendrick Lamar, no. There's all sorts of fire for this smoke we talking.
Oh my God, man. We're going to get to Kendrick in a minute.
We getting all these niggas.
We're going to get to him in a minute. So we're nearly halfway through this. Hold on 1 second. I think okay. So we're going to Jay-Z now. Leroy Green, this is your time to shine. Leroy Green, this is your time to shine. So, lyrics, I went 10.
I did not. I went 9.
Voice, I went 8.
I went 7.
Delivery, I went 10.
So did I.
Storytelling, 8.
6. Where's the stories?
Ooh, hold on.
Where are the stories? Hold on.
You went 6 storytelling? Come on.
I gave Rakim a 6. Right. I gave Method Man a 5.
I guess you didn't like Meet the Parents, huh?
It's the only story we got. What else we got?
Song Cry's a story.
He's still going to have to do better for like a 12, 13, 14 album career than give me 2 stories and say that he deserves to be rated high as a storyteller. We don't know if that holds up.
What do the people in the chat say? I want to hear the people on this one. What do y'all give Jay-Z as a storyteller?
How are you going to rate something high that there's not a lot of evidence to?
Okay, what's the best story told on Reasonable Doubt?
Because I gave Rakim and KRS-One a 7, and there's more evidence of them telling stories than him, especially on KRS's level. You get what I'm saying? If I gave KRS a 7, Jay's getting a 6.
What are Jay-Z's top 5 storytelling songs?
Good luck with that. Can we move to the next one while people take all day to figure that out?
What about Friend or Foe? You don't count that?
If we want to count Friend or Foe, that's his best story.
Song Cry, people are saying... You Must Love Me. The Evils is a story. Yes, it is. Soon You'll Understand. It's a story.
That's not helping. It's not helping. Saying Soon You'll Understand is not helping your case. Keep that out of the case.
Friend or Foe 98.
We'll go 7. I'm not putting them above KRS for storytelling, though.
This Can't Be Life.
Man, that's more about Face and Siegel. I think you know that. That's not helping the case either.
I think Siegel's a better storyteller than Jay.
He is. We'll go 7. I said I'll go off the 6 and go 7. I don't like you campaigning for Jay like this. You accepted all my non-shades.
A week ago?
I just said we're going up to 7. We're not going past 7.
I'm just reading the comments.
That's fine.
I just want people, again, I don't want to seem like we're so biased on this channel. So I'm trying to give Jay a fair shake.
I just
bashed Jay in the last segment.
I just gave him a 7. I just took off the 6 and gave him a 7. I said
99 Problems is in here too. Okay.
I love 99 Problems. I just said 7. He's not better than KRS as a storyteller.
Well, I gave him 8 in storytelling. So yeah, I'm cool with 7. Honestly, I'm cool with that because honestly, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna keep it real. Some of these songs that people are naming aren't great storytelling records.
Hold on. That's what I was about to say. These aren't great classic storytelling songs outside of Friend or Foe, really, and maybe 99 Problems. The rest of this stuff is just really, really dope. This Can't Be Life is great because of Scarface and Siegel, and so even some of this stuff, it's like, are all these records dope? Well, yes. Are they great and classic enough that he needs to be in some verified era where we're giving him an 8 or 9 or 10 for storytelling? No. It's not that. It's not that.
Leroy Green said the whole American Gangsta album was a story. Okay, we gotta move on.
Okay.
We gotta move. Okay, so catalog of albums, I gave him a 10.
I gave him a 9.
You don't think that Jay's... Listen, I gave Kendrick...
KRS a 9.
I gave Kendrick a 10 in that category.
I gave Rakim a 9.
This is what I will say.
No. I'm going to say that again. I gave Rakim and KRS a 9.
But we would be hard-pressed to find any MCs out there that have 5 albums better than Jay's top 5. I mean, his top 5 goes Reasonable Doubt, The Blueprint, The Black Album. Then you're going either Volume 2, American Gangster. So possibly Volume 1.
So I'm going to go ahead and tell you this right now. There's only going to be 2 artists from me that are going to get a 10 from catalog, and Jay's not one of them, and we already named one of them. So
Kendrick?
No. Face Mama. Scarface and Nas are the only people who have 10 catalogs at this juncture in the game, because Ghostface and Jay haven't dropped any classic material in quite some time.
J5 says Coop be killing Jay. All right.
I'm not killing Jay. Jay's about to score high. You don't even know. Look, because you're not about to believe some of the work I'm about to give him. I'm scoring it accurately, though. I gave him a point up for storytelling, and I gave him the same ranking for catalog of albums as I did KRS-One and Rakim.
I think that he has album for album, and I love Rakim and KRS. I think he is past them album for album.
You want me to give him a 9.5? Because I'm only giving 2 guys 10 for catalog right now. What part of that are people not understanding? And let's make this very clear. If Nas doesn't make magic, he's getting a 9 for catalog right now for me. You understand? And Scarface would be the only person getting a 10. Are we clear about that?
You hear that, Jay?
Magic?
Jay, we need a magic from you right now in 2022.
Nas doesn't make magic, he doesn't get a 10 from me, and the only person that would get a 10 is Scarface. Are we clear?
DeCarlo says Scarface ain't no damn 10. Okay.
Catalog album just is, because go name the whack album. That's what I'm saying. We can go to some poor Nas and Jay albums. We can't go to no poor Scarface albums. 10.
Okay. Collaborations, I gave him a 10.
Collaborations, I gave him a 10.
Longevity records, I gave him a 9.
I gave him an 8 because some of his best hit records haven't held up as well.
For similar reasons, I gave him a 9. Career longevity, I gave him a 10.
I gave him a 9.
What? Ho.
I'm going to tell you why I gave him a 9.
Who has more longevity than Jay? It's only like one person.
No. Hold on. Wait. Because you've been telling me for quite some time that what does the second half of his career look like without Kanye? And so I don't know what his longevity looks like without Kanye, and so you're the reason that he gets a 9. He's bringing up Ye's contribution to his longevity. Right. We don't get to have it both ways. We don't get to give him a 10 for longevity and then give Ye so much credit for it up on this show.
Well, you know, Ye is the GOAT. So.
9. So 9. Right.
You're going to use that against it. Okay.
And it's great information.
Battle tested. 10. Yeah. Legacy, 10.
Yes, hold on. For all of you people, guess what my legacy rating for Jay is? It's 10.
It's got to be 10. He had 10. Barack Obama introduce him to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Hold on. So I want to go through this right quick. Of the people that we've named right now, I've only given 2 people 10s for legacy, and that's Rakim and Jay-Z. We just got done talking about KRS-One and Nas. Stop saying I'm being biased.
Let's see. After Legacy, what we got? I'm losing my place here. All right, live performance.
I gave him an 8.
I think I gave him. Let me go. Credit. I gave him a 10.
I don't know how, but okay.
No, I'm wrong in that. I'm giving him a 9 on that.
Okay.
I'm giving him a 9 on that. Content, I gave him a 9.
7.
7? Ooh. And you know, he's covered a lot, but
has he? Because everybody keeps saying that, but has he? He's great. He's great at emphasizing himself and telling you what he's going through. But when I look at content, I look at the ability to tap into other things. Never Seen a Man Die comes to mind. You feel what I'm saying? And so, like, content, ability to internalize the content, like 10, but like actual content, like 7, 8 at the most. I actually was thinking about some of the records that people were naming when they were naming his stories, which makes me kind of want to put him up to 8 because there's a lot of diversity in his stories, and that might be key. So I'll come off the 7 and go 8. But y'all can't be sitting up here talking about Conway and Pusha T's subject matter and then giving Jay high marks for content and subject matter.
Well, he's covered more than they do. I will say that. J Mar says Coop Bayless at it again. I like that. Coop Bayless. I think that's pretty cool.
I've been seeing him post that. Nobody likes him.
Okay. So content, I gave him a 9. You said 8.
I can go up to 8 just because of what people listed in those stories, because there is some diversity in there and content and subject matter wise. And and he's good at talking like his Brooklyn shit, like on a hit. You know what I'm saying? And so like I gave him.
I'm okay with that. And again, I know this is here on the screen now, but I'm gonna adjust a lot of these things just based on this conversation, especially this intangible thing. I gave him a 10 on intangibles.
I gave him a 10 on intangibles too. That's why people need to understand. I'm not being biased with how I'm rating this. Jay got almost as many 10s as anybody on here.
Now, hook game, I gave him a 6.
So did I for hook game. It's the weakest part of his game. His voice and his hook are the weakest. I gave him a 7 for voice, 6 for hooks.
Yeah. Versatility, I gave him a 10.
So did I. That's why I'm saying I'm giving him 10. So look at how many 10s I gave Jay. Jay got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He got 6 10s out of me. I don't think Rakim got 6 10s out of me, Mike. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rakim got 5 10s. I gave Jay 6. Stop saying I'm being biased.
Yeah, the hook game was the one that really brought it down for him on mine. So his overall score for me was 140. And again, we're gonna adjust some of these things. Nas was 142. If his hook game, honestly, if Nas's hook game hadn't been so improved in recent years, and his catalog hadn't been so improved in recent years, he probably would have fell slightly behind.
What have I been saying about this run that Nas is on? I said, this is the separation right here.
It is. No, definitely. You're right. 100%.
Because it's neck and neck who you prefer more up until these last couple Nas albums. It's just given enough clarity. Like I said, it's that separation. It's like 2 or 3 points. A bucket, Mike. A bucket. A 3-pointer. A shot.
What Nas is doing right now is super impressive. And, even me, I'm a hip-hop fan, so I have no real allegiance to any particular person, just whatever dope music comes out. But as a fan of both of them, it's undeniable.
Right. That's what I mean. This is the first time it's been undeniable. It's always been about who you preferred up to this point. It's like, no. The records right now are saying that it's this guy slightly over the other guy.
Brian with us says Jay-Z is Coop Bayless is LeBron. And see, I thought they were saying that stuff about me with Eminem. I'm so glad Eminem's not on this card.
Hold on, that's crazy because I'm the one that's responsible for all this 97 Hove talk floating around the industry all of a sudden magically. So that's not like totally true. You get what I'm saying? Wasn't nobody talking about 97 Hove except for like Benny on Tana Talk 4 years ago until I started bringing this shit up. So that's not totally fair.
Okay, the next person we got here.
Turn the foe, yo. State your biz.
Pusha T. Y'all are going to love this. Pusha T. I gave him a 9 in lyrics.
So did I.
Voice, I gave him an 8.
So did I.
Delivery, I gave him a 9.
I gave him a 10.
Okay, I ain't mad at that. Storytelling, 7.
Same here.
Catalog albums, gave him an 8.
So did I, but that was thinking about the clip stuff too. If it would have been just his catalog, I still would have went 7, and that's with Daytona.
Yeah, and I saw somebody when we were talking about Method Man, they said we should just count the solo stuff, but we're talking about the overall abilities of the MC, so I think it's, and I don't want to be contradictory because we say that stuff about...
The group work is fair because it speaks to their talents.
It does.
Like, his hook game is all over Wu-Tang albums, not his albums. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, storytelling, Pusha T, where we at? 7. All right. Catalog of albums, 8. Collaborations, I gave him a 9.
I gave him an 8.
Because I'm sitting here thinking about Runaway, thinking about Justin Timberlake. I'm thinking about...
Justin Timberlake?
I'm just saying, these are collaborations.
That's valid. I did not think about those records.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Trap or Die 2, like Illin. I'm thinking what happened.
Yeah. No, but I'm thinking about 22 niggas, 2 to a car, 11 flagships with the 3-point star.
You want to know what? I think I'm going to have to give him a 9, and that's my guy.
And not to mention, So Paul. When it's time to show up,
So Paul might be his best guest appearance. Ooh.
He jumped on that Maybach music that he got his verse taken off, and it was the most memorable moment, and it wasn't even on the album.
That's true. No, I'm bumping him up to a 9 for collaborations. You're right. I had him at an 8. You're right.
I think that's one of his stronger attributes, actually.
Yeah, because he delivers when it's time when he collabs, too. I was thinking about Name Me King on Jesus Piece, too.
Longevity. I mean, I did him wrong on this. I gave him... Oh, Longevity of Records. Excuse me. No. Longevity of Records, I gave him an 8.
So did I.
Okay. Longevity of Career, I gave him a 10.
I gave him a 9.
Okay.
But you want to know what?
As good as he is this late in the game.
That's exactly what I was about to say. As good as he is this late, you're right. I'm going to give him a 10. But you want to know what? I rated him just as hard as I rated Nas, because who are my 2 favorite MCs. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll give him a 10 for Longevity of Career because he's been around. Like, people have to understand that they used to be called Full of Clips. And so their first album dropped like 1999, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Battle Tested, 10.
10.
Legacy, I give him an 8.
Legacy, I gave him a 7.
Okay, I'm not mad at that. Live performance, I give him an 8.
I gave him a 7.
Okay, I'm not mad at that either because I hadn't really seen any real standout performances. But when I do see him perform, it's dope.
It's solid.
Yeah,
7. Like 7 for me means it's like, well, you're doing what you're supposed to do as an upper echelon MC.
Content, I gave him a 7.
Mm-hmm.
Intangibles, I gave him an 8. He lets his presence be felt.
Same here. I gave him an 8 for Intangibles too.
Hook game, I gave him an 8.
So did I. We're having the same thoughts about Push. Yep. I gave him an 8 for Hook game.
Versatility, I gave him an 8.
I gave him a 7, but I actually want to take that up to 8 based on what you were saying about the collaborations, though.
Yeah. So I gave him 125 overall.
Okay. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, so you got somebody like Push. Like, Push ain't gonna rate too far behind like Rakim.
Well, on my scale, he's a good 8 points behind Rakim. But again, we're gonna rework this stuff.
But it's that's what I'm saying. That's based on the scale that you already have without any changes, and also too, that's 15 criteria. So when somebody is within 8 points on a criteria of 15, like they're in your wheelhouse.
No, you're right.
You're in your wheelhouse as an MC. Yeah.
Okay, so J. Cole, people are gonna love this too. Lyrics, I gave him an 8.
I gave him a 9.
I'm not mad at that. Voice, I gave him an 8.
I gave him a 7.
Okay. Not mad at that either. So that kind of balanced each other out right there. Delivery, I gave him a 9.
I gave him an 8.
Storytelling, I gave him a 9.
I gave him an 8, but I actually think I should make that a 9.
Okay.
Because based on the other guys we've been talking about and how we're placing their stories and how y'all are rating Jay's stories, and I know Cole's a better storyteller.
Cole has proven he's a better storyteller than Jay.
Yeah, so 9. Yeah.
Catalog of albums, 8.
7.
Not mad at that either. Collaborations, which I think are one of his strongest attributes, I gave him a 9.
I gave him a 9 as well.
Longevity of records, I gave him an 8.
I gave him a 7.
Longevity of career, I'm giving him a 9.
I gave him an 8. When did he come out?
He came out around like 2010, 11-ish.
So he's 10, 12 years in. That's an 8, yeah. Because where rap is now, Illmatic came out in 1994. I've been listening to Live at the Barbecue since 1991. 3 decades.
I just get the feeling that he's just gonna be around, though. You know what I mean? Like but
we can't base it on that. We can't tell. I wrote a whole article about Kendrick Lamar being a top 10 MC over 5 years ago because I talked about his trajectory and pace.
Yeah, and that just went up the creek.
Right. So 8. Because right now he's about 10, 12 years in. And if we're putting that in relationship to somebody like Pusha T that's 23 years in, or Jay-Z who's like 28 years in, or Nas who's like 31 years in, or KRS-One who's like most of his freaking life. You get what I'm saying?
Definitely. All right. Yeah. J. Cole being battle tested, 7.
I gave that a 7 as well. Just hasn't happened.
Legacy, I gave him a 10.
I gave him a 10 for Legacy too. Because he is the most revered artist, along with Kendrick, from his era.
That's exactly. That was my.
And the reverence is real. And the reverence is real from the smoke we catch anytime we critique him with anything that seems like it's less than a 9 or a 10.
Live performance, I gave him a 10. He's a great performer.
I gave him a 7, but I was going to kind of had a star by that because I've never really seen him perform live. Really? I was going to rely on you more for that.
Nah, man. His live performances are super dope. The clarity, breath control, I'm sure some people in the room can speak to J. Cole's live performance ability. I will give him that credit.
I'm going to trust you and give him a 10 for that. I gave him a 7 just based on the things that I've seen image-wise. It's like solid doing your job, but can't speak to it really enough to know. But I'll side with you on that and give him a 10 for that.
Because I was debating between that and a 9. Content, I gave him a 10. Because I think that's what people love him so much for.
Yeah, I gave him a 10 for content as well.
Okay. Intangibles, I gave him an 8.
Me too.
Hook game, I gave him an 8.
I gave him a 7 for hook game.
Versatility, I gave him a 9. And a lot of that's because what he's doing right now is super versatile.
I gave him a 9 for versatility as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. J5 says, Coop, Cole is dope live. And Christopher Hogan says, Cole is a 10 performer. Another person said Cole is 10 live. Saw him a few months ago.
Okay. So, and I'm going to tell you something that's crazy. I've seen almost every rapper that you would want to see live except for the greatest rapper to come out of my home state. Isn't that crazy? It's funny how it was. No, I mean, it hasn't been intentional.
Right. It just didn't happen.
It just ain't happened.
Okay. Let's go to Kendrick Lamar.
But look, the way that he's sticking around right now, I'm probably going to end up seeing him like in this year and like reporting it for According to Hip Hop. Right?
Yes, when Coop sees him live, we're going to be reporting live. Like, look, Coop is at a J. Cole concert.
Yeah, Coop's first appearance at a J. Cole concert. We can make a whole deal out of that because I have no opinion.
Y'all ready for Kendrick Lamar? Let's do this.
Hold
on. Let me get the overall score from Cole first. 130.
Okay.
I got 130 for Cole. Again, we'll make some adjustments and whatnot. Mad Max in the super chat says, Pusha not a 10 for longevity. Laughing my ass off. He dropped every election or graduation cycle. Cut it out with Push. We'll get to all that.
We'll stop. There's 4 full-length Clips albums. I think there's 4 full-length solo Pusha T projects. There's one official Re-Up Gang project that's been released. There's about 4 Re-Up Gang mixtapes have been released. There's about 4 mixtapes from him that have been released. So when he's saying that, you're talking to a guy that has about 16 or 17 projects worth of material floating around.
And not to mention he made an album as great as Daytona 20 years into his rap career. The overall score for J. Cole was 130. Because Nas the GOAT was asking.
And here's something I want to say, too. I think Pusha T is the first guy to make his best project 2 decades into his career. You understand that? That's like winning the MVP award when you're about to retire.
For real. Y'all ready for Kendrick, though? Mr. Buck said, Lord, here we go with Kendrick. Here we go. Lyrics, I gave him a 10.
Gave him a 9.
Voice, I gave him a 7.
I gave him a 6.
Delivery, I gave him a 10.
Delivery, I gave him a 9. But when I think about it, I'm cool with the delivery.
His delivery's crazy. I will give him that.
No. I was about to say that was me hating. There we go. I was hating right there. Delivery's a 10.
Storytelling, I gave him a 10.
I gave him a 9.
I think he's the best storyteller over there.
Hold on. Okay, so how about this? When you're saying that, where is he all time as a storyteller? Because here's a 10 storyteller: Nas, Scarface, Ghostface, Tupac, Ice Cube. Is he those guys? Slick Rick, of course.
I think he could get into. I think he can get into that Tupac and Ice Cube realm. I'm not even gonna lie. Now, as far as like Slick Rick, Nas, Ghost, and Scarface, I think they're somewhere else. But I think he falls in that Tupac Ice Cube range.
Are we giving out halvesies? Because this would be a 9.5 for me, because I'm not cool with giving him a 10 on storytelling. Because that is saying he is where Nas and Scarface, Ghostface, Slick Rick
I think
are.
you're right. I mean, if we want to go 9 or 9.5, I'm okay with that.
Well, let's meet in the middle.
Brian says storytelling is a 10 easily.
No. I'm gonna go 9.5 because he's not where Nas and Scarface and Ghostface and Slick Rick are, and that's what a 10 is. So we go 9.5.
Okay. Catalog of albums, I gave him a 10.
I gave him a 9. Because you on the clock.
Because of the break?
Yep. You got a 9 because you on the clock. You damn right.
Okay. That's fair.
No. Let's find He's smoking on our top 5, Mike. Never forget that.
Collaborations, I gave him a 7.
You gave him a 6. What collaborations?
Yeah. And that's based on the early collaborations, honestly.
There aren't enough of them.
It aren't. They are.
And they're not stellar. Like Collard Greens on Schoolboy Q's up. That's not like some sort of stellar show up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
nah, I feel like he messed up Travis Scott's Goosebumps. That song could go without him.
Could.
Not to mention that red light, green light, red light, green light.
Yeah,
But that on the Black Panther with Future and all that. Okay. Longevity of records, I gave him an 8.
You gave him a 7.
I'm not mad at that. I'm thinking now I should have possibly given him a 7. Longevity of career, I've given him an 8. What did you say?
Giving him a 6. One for every year that he's been here.
When I read that off, I was thinking about it. I was like, I can't wait to hear what he says. I'm not mad at that. So you gave him 1 point for every year he's actually shown up. So longevity, he gets a 6.
Right. I want people to understand how long he showed up to work for. Because people keep acting like he showed up to work. It's like, no. The nigga went to work for 6 years.
So Section 80 is 2011.
Real talk.
Good Kid, Mad City is 2012.
Hold on, stop. Listen to this. If we give him any sort of longevity, you understand, like, Nas doesn't make Stillmatic, Lost Tapes, or Godson, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Jay Short says Cole gonna make it to the Hall of Fame as an across the board 7. Shaking my head. Hey man, you gotta just get on base, man. He on some Tony Gwynn stuff.
No. Hey, I'm about to say Cole. Hey, Cole might be Tony Gwynn. Can't strike him out. Always get on base. There's nothing wrong with that. I love Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, me too. Okay. So, I can't wait to hear what you got to say about this one too. Battle Tested, I gave him a 7.
You gave him a 6.
I'm not mad at that either because he's smoking on your top 5. And he put the Control verse out there. And when the smoke came, there was no return fire.
6.
Yeah, that's being generous. And the more I quote that, I gave him a 7. I'm thinking 5. I know y'all going to say Mike hating.
No, understand he's not getting 5s about this stuff so people don't say that I'm hating. That's why he's getting some 6s.
Okay.
He deserves some 5s for this. Stop acting like this shit is okay.
Legacy, I gave him a 10.
Legacy, I gave him a 9.
Because he's held so high.
And that's why he has a 9 right now. But what I keep trying to tell you is we're discussing a legacy for somebody that rapped for 6 years. And so it's like...
Okay.
I'm gonna keep on saying the facts of it, so people will stop saying I'm hating. So he only rapped for 6 years. Therefore, legacy is like at a 9. Because you want to know what that says? Like, you know, who Gail Sayers is, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is Gail Sayers' legacy in relationship to somebody like a Walter Payton or a Barry Sanders or a Jim Brown? Because he didn't play as much or as long. It's not that he wasn't as great. He didn't play as much or as long. So his legacy doesn't get rated the same.
I think that's accurate. Kendrick, we need an album from you, man.
No, he needs an album for him.
You know what? Let's rephrase that. You're right.
Yeah,
He needs
we don't
an album.
need anything from him.
The game is actually fine right now.
We need to make an album about your legacy and nothing else. You ain't doing shit for us. You're not doing anything for hip hop. We're not missing you. I'm not missing you. I'm having a great time covering Conway's album, Currency's album. Saba dropped a great project. Nas is on a run with Hit Boy. Game is not missing you unless you show that the game is missing you.
Speaking of the game, I'm looking forward to Drillmatic as well. Mad Max with the super chat. Shout out to you. He said, K-Dot albums, not no 10. It's an 8. Laughing my ass out. No replay value like that after Good Kid, Mad City. And you know what I think that
longevity is 7. Good Kid, Mad City has all the replay value, Mike. All of his replay value is in one album. What does that say?
I think that's fair. All right, let me get back to it. So live performance, I gave him a 10.
Gave him a 7.
Woo! Hold on.
Where does he perform? Who does he perform?
Hold up. He performed at the Super Bowl.
How did that go?
I mean, listen, I know I talked about his gimmicks and all that being tired, but what I will say, his breath control and his ability to perform and get those songs out and get those bars out, I will give him a 10. Do you know that
he can still do that though, Mike? How do you know?
He did that at the Super Bowl.
He did it for one song. That's not performing to me. That's not an expression of breath control as an MC when you perform.
Hey, Kendrick, you gotta come back, man. You gotta come back.
Smoking on my top 5. He said he was smoking on your top 5 too.
I gave him a 10.
We don't know what you're doing. You're giving him a 10 based on what?
Well, he's one of the headliners for Rolling Loud. That's happening.
Okay, you want to know what? I'm gonna be nice. You gave him a 10 for performance?
I did. He's a great performer. The Grammy performance that he did, you know, even though like all them jail suits and all that.
Grammy performance.
He puts on very theatrical performances and he executes really well on a technical level. When it comes to technicality shit, he's very high on that. And the live performance is one of those. I will give him that.
I'll give him a 9. But I mean, I haven't seen any performances in so long. I just don't really know what to go on.
Joe Bro said, "It's no point of this. Y'all are just hating at this point."
No.
I think he's a 10.
He's not rapping at this point. That's what's going on. It's a 9. I give him a 9. We're not giving him a 10 because then you're saying he's KRS-One on stage. You get what I'm saying? Is he KRS on stage?
He doesn't have the voice for that.
Does he have the presence for that?
I don't know. I think he may have the presence.
Does he have the catalog for that?
No, listen, if you want to say it in those terms, and again, we're going to adjust a lot of this. If KRS is a 10, live performance, and Big Daddy Kane's a 10, yes,
he's not a 10.
He's a 9, yeah.
Then he's a 9. We'll give him 9. Okay.
Yeah. But that changes Cole's rating too a little bit. All right. Content, I gave him a 10.
I gave him a 10.
Intangibles, I gave him an 8.
Me too.
Hook game, I gave him a 9.
Hook game, I gave him a 7. I don't think his hooks are that great.
I think he does really well putting together hooks. He did that on Damn very well. It's just him. I mean, he doesn't really get... Huh?
I'm about to say, he does take a lot of solo missions, and so I want to up that and give him an 8 instead of a 7, because the solo mission is tough to do, and he does take on the task of his hooks a lot.
Because it's not like he goes out there and, gets people to get on his hooks, or it's not like he goes out there and uses samples as his hooks either. So,
you want to know what? When you say it like that, I can give him a 9 for his hooks, Mike, because he's creative with his hooks.
Yeah,
My Vibe is one of my favorite hooks ever, just because of the originality.
Yeah, he's dope with his hooks.
Yeah, I give him a 9 for hooks.
Versatility, I gave him an 8.
I gave him an 8 for versatility as well.
So my overall score, while y'all saying we hating, my overall score for Kendrick was a 132, and Cole got a 130. But again, we're going to adjust all this anyway, just based on some of y'all comments, and we're going to go back and see what y'all saying too.
Right.
You ready to go to Conway the Machine?
Yeah, come on.
Conway, I gave him a 9 on lyrics.
Me too.
7 on voice.
Me too.
Delivery, 8.
Me too.
Storytelling, 8.
I went 9 on the storytelling.
Okay. Catalog of albums, I gave him an 8.
So did I.
Okay. Collaborations, I gave him an 8.
So did I.
Longevity of records, I gave him an 8.
I gave him a 7.
Okay. Longevity of career, I gave him an 8.
I gave him a 6.
Okay.
Because guess what?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because he's been rapping for 6 years. About 7.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing with Kendrick. See how people are like, oh, you hating on Kendrick? It's like, no. We didn't get the Conway. Gave him the same 6 because he hasn't been around that long.
Battle tested, I gave him a 7.
Me too.
Legacy, I gave him a 7.
Me too.
Live performance, I gave him an 8. I've seen the Cow perform live. Content, I gave him a 9.
Content, I gave him an 8.
Intangibles, I gave him a 9, actually.
Intangibles, I gave him a 10.
Okay. Hook game, I gave him an 8.
So did I.
Versatility, I gave him a 10.
I gave him a 7 for versatility, but
really? I think I'm thinking about versatility on the tracks. You know what I'm saying?
And what I was about to say, based on how you've been rating it and me being in agreement with that, I'm okay with giving him a 9 for versatility, but not a 10.
His versatility is what's impressed me the most about this run, and his ability to make damn near different type of albums. Like he just literally made 3 different type of albums.
When you say it like that, it's kind of 10-ish, but I will beg, and you're never really going to hear me say this, is like, well, don't he need some more hit records and some bangers for that to be a 10, though?
Okay, that's fair.
Just being honest, if we're being fair, like to the hit makers on that side of things, it's like, you know what I'm saying? So I can give you the 9, but I don't know if we can go 10 on versatility just yet.
Civil Day Music TV asks, what is the intangibles? You want to explain that?
The best way that I can explain it is that I used to work for a gentleman used to work for his company named Ryan Turner. Ryan Turner used to be head of the Restaurant Association here in the state of Georgia. But he said something that always resonated with me. And he said, you hire what you can't teach. And so that's what intangibles are. They're the things that you can't teach, that can't be taught. It's like you got that or you don't. Like there's something about Snoop on a Dr. Dre track that intangibly sounds better than everybody else when it does it. Mm-hmm. Intangibly, there's something about Conway that resonates with the streets. It's a pain. It resonates. It's intangible. You don't really know why it pulls at you. You just know that it pulls, and different rappers have different intangibles. But his intangibles are on 10 because he's in this conversation in the way that he talks and spits and looks. He's the only guy like that in this conversation.
Earl Holmes says, name a verse from him that make you say, God damn. All right, go on to YouTube after this show and look up The Cow.
Which one? I'm about to say which one.
Look up The Cow. Conway The Cow, or you want to go Jesus Christ, you can go that way too.
I'm about to say, you need to look up West Side Gun for The Cow, because that's actually on Hitler Wears Hermes.
No, I'm just saying if you go on YouTube and just put in Conway The Cow, yeah, it's West Side Tone, but it'll come up.
Yeah.
All right.
We can go plenty of stuff.
Here's the final person.
Hold on, tell him to pull up the verse on Brutus too, Mike.
Oh yeah.
Right. Or Jesus Crisis, or the verse on Lemon, or the verse on Juvenile Hell, or the verse on Hell on Earth 2, or the verse on 98 Sabres. Or you get what I'm saying, Mike? What are you talking about, dude? Like
it just asks you questions.
Right.
There's the reference. All right, here's the last person. We got Lil Wayne here.
Where's he been though, Mike? That's what I'm saying. It's like, where have you been that you're asking questions like that about Conway at this point? Where have you been?
Well, Conway's not mainstream. Lyrics, 8 for Wayne.
Me too, 8.
Voice, I gave Wayne an 8.
Me too.
Delivery, I gave him a 10.
Damn right.
Storytelling, I gave him a 7.
Gave him a 6.
Catalog of albums, I gave Lil Wayne an 8.
Gave him a 7.
Okay. Collaborations, I gave him a 10.
Gave him a 9. But I'd like to move that to 10.
Longevity of records, I gave him an 8.
Hold on, let me see where we're at on longevity of records. I gave him a 7 on that.
Longevity of career, I gave him a 10.
Gave him a 10 for that as well.
Battle tested, I gave him a 7.
Gave him a 6.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Legacy, I gave him a 10.
So did I.
He's gonna be held super high.
He is
Live
held
performance, I gave him a 9. Live performance.
I gave him an 8. I was
Okay.
really impressed when I did see him live, though.
Content, I gave him a 7.
Content, I gave him a 6.
Intangibles, I gave him a 10.
Intangibles, I gave him a 9.
Hook game, I gave him a 10.
Hook game, I gave him a 9. But much like I'm thinking about Kendrick now, I kind of want to move that to 10, about the same reasons.
Red Nation is nuts.
No. His hook game is crazy.
Woo! Duffel Bag Boy is nuts.
No. 10. I was wrong. 9. I was wrong about Kendrick and Wayne on the hook game. They're both 10s on their hook game.
Versatility, I gave him a 9.
I gave him a 10 for
I could have given him a 10 for that.
Yeah, I gave him 10 for versatility. Mm-hmm.
Wayne scored pretty high on mine. He got a 131.
He got some home runs with me. Like, he got more 10s than most people do, but he got some low scores too about some stuff. But yeah, it was high.
Yeah. So yeah, we got to sort out this list all together, man. I wish we had a little bit more time. I know.
We're going to let the people take care of that.
Yeah, we're going to let the people take care of that. But, you know, the people that we covered today, Rakim, KRS, Nas, Method Man, Jay-Z, Pusha T, Cole, Kendrick, Conway, Wayne. I guess we'll close it out like this. Just based on what I have here, the person that scored the highest was Nas.
Duh.
Nas scored a 142. And again, a lot of the stuff that Nas has been doing of recent had a lot to do with some of this.
Mike, your score is actually relative to what we've been saying on this podcast while Nas has been on this run. It's like with the separation in the GOAT conversation is this run that Nas is on. Because if you take this run, he's going to probably fall a little behind Jay and a little ahead of like Rakim and KRS probably.
No. The second person is Jay with 140.
Right. Yeah.
KRS ends up third with 139. Rakim has 133 at fourth. And you know what? Method Man ties Rakim with that fourth spot.
So look at your top 5. Look at the top 5.
That's crazy. And then you got Kendrick with 132. Then you got Wayne with 131. Then you got Cole with 130. Then we got Pusha T with 125. Then we got Conway with 122. Again, this is just a rough assessment. But
But hold on. But the way that list just played out is very, very comparable to how it would probably play out in reality right now if people were to rank it.
Yeah.
The only thing I see is Rakim being at 4, and people would probably put Rakim ahead of KRS, but everything else would kind of play viably that way, don't you say?
Yes, sir. We might have a surprise for you guys on Friday because I don't think it's any new music coming out. We're kind of working on this possible interview. It should be a dope interview. And also, I think Friday we're going to talk about episode 3 of Kanye West's Genius documentary. I'm sure there's a whole lot of great stuff in it. I wish we had a little bit more time to talk now, but we've been on for like 2 hours. So.
And also, too, you know, this is just the start of this. We have more of these to come. But also, too, Mike, I mean, we might know a little bit about what we're talking about. We've been having a conversation about Nas being the greatest MC of all time in this run and keeping on being the separation. Breaking down the list and going through the shit, like, that's the separation we're talking about right there. Because it's like, really? Just off hook game is where he separated himself. What I was telling you, Mike, was like his hooks and his delivery sound crazy right now. Up him a couple points.
Yeah. No, that's for real. I'm about to look over the list again, and you and I, we could talk offline, just, you know, some of the things that we talked about here and just kind of correlate it with some of the things that the people are saying and really come with some definitive scores. But I don't think anything's going to be too much different from here.
Right.
And, you know, I will say this, and for the Kendrick fans out there who feel a way about some of the way those things were played out, one more Kendrick record could really change things, you know, change the trajectory of how a lot of these things are scored. Because, again, these past 3 Nas efforts have definitely changed.
And he was
he solidified.
And he was already in this conversation. That's why it's like when y'all are talking about Kendrick, like this is just so set in stone. I'm thinking like nobody was set in stone after 6 years of rapping.
Straight up.
Straight up.
He's been taking a break. But yes, we're going to holler at y'all Friday. Great show, Coop. And yeah, we got a lot to kind of go over and just review and look out for it on the community section. And we want to see y'all comments and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.